Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to very quickly talk about the books I want to read for May. And I have to be quick because there is a storm coming. Right now it is still nice and bright outside, but I can already hear some rumblings in the distance. So before it gets too cloudy and noisy, I wanted to make this video. Usually I obviously do my TBR game, but with all the reading events that are going on in May, I already have enough books I wanted to read. So I'm just going to talk about the books that I plan to read, and it will become obvious very soon why I'm not doing my TBR game. So the two main readathons I want to participate in May, because there are loads, but the ones I want to participate in are Springathon, which is a readathon around nature writing. It's hosted by a couple of booktubers, so I'll link them all down below. And the other one is Misery May, which is a readathon during the month of May where you are encouraged to read miserable books, or books that make you sad or cry, or just as long as there's a lot of misery in there. So for both of these readathons I've picked two books. First of all, I picked up the group book for Springathon, which is this one. This is the Dutch version, but in English it is called the Sakura Obsession. It is about a man. The subtitle here is How an Englishman Saved the Japanese Cherry Blossom. This man was a botanist and he traveled to Japan in the early 20th century, and he discovered that the cherry blossom trees there were getting very, they were losing its biodiversity, and back in England there was actually one of the original cherry blossom trees, or yeah, obviously I don't know exactly what the science behind it, but he then took it back to Japan. I don't know, telling like that, it doesn't sound particularly interesting, but I think it'll be interesting to see how like history and nature writing combines. And I feel like this might be a book that surprises me, because it's not a book that I would have picked up if it wasn't for Springathon. And this is the May pick for the Book Naturalist Book Club as well. So yeah, that's the first one that I want to read. Now next is basically the book why I'm not picking a lot of books for my TBR, because in May I am planning to read Karenina. This is the book that I've always wanted to read, and obviously it is huge. So I've been a bit scared to read it, but I thought, you know, I have to bite the bullet and just start it. So yeah, this is going to be the main event for May. I really would like to read this. If I don't finish anything else, that's fine, but I would really like to read this one. This is a Dutch translation, the most recent Dutch translation, and I've read some articles about that the translator wrote about his translation, and that sounded very promising. And then on the back it also says this book reads more smoothly and quicker than before. Boland, Hans Boland, who is the translator, is a wizard. So yeah, I'm hoping, I'm really hoping that this book will captivate me. And this is one of those books that I don't really know that much about, other than that it is quite a miserable story. So I'm gonna read it for Misery May. Yeah, so with these two books, because this one is also like 400 plus pages, and this chunker, I think I can fill out the entire month. But just in case, I also picked two other books that I think will fit both readathons. I have found an audiobook for The Sixth Extinction, which is also a book I've been wanting to read for a while. It's on my 40 before 40 list. And it's about climate change. And I think climate change really fits in that Venn diagram of misery and nature. So yeah, that's one I would want to read. And then I also picked up from my shelf another chunky book. Who is this? Which is Rosarium by Charley Weitze, and this is a fiction book, and it is set during a war, an unnamed war, where children get left by their parents, so I think there's that misery aspect. And then apparently the two children, brothers and sister, the sister hides in a tree and like becomes part of nature. I'm not sure how it's gonna work, but yeah, I think it has a big nature connection, and you can see it from the cover as well. So yeah, those are the 4 books I want to be reading for the 2 readathons I'll be participating in. I also already picked my TBR spin book. The video got up a little bit early and I'm a little bit late with this video. So the book I will be reading for the TBR spin is Travels with Charley. You can see in my video about the TBR spin for the second quarter how I got to pick this book, because it was a lot of fun. Lastly, I'm also participating in the Tales of Two Trail game that Kim is hosting, Kim of Expedition Through Pages. She is doing like a TBR game where everyone can participate in, and we've got divided into teams, blah blah blah. I'm in Team B, and on our trail we are in the Lake of Doom now, which means the prompts that we are getting are going to be quite difficult, or maybe not as fun. And I was hoping they would have a prompt that said like, read a book over 600 pages, because I could read Karenina for that, but we didn't. But we got 3 prompts. One was the water prompt, so any book connected to water in some way. And then there was one prompt that said go on YouTube or on booktube, watch a video and read the first book that that person mentions. So I watched the first video that came up in my watch later list, and I had 2 caveats before I went in, which was one, I didn't have to pay any money for the book, so I had to have that book available from my own bookshelves, from the library, from Everend, or on Kobo Plus, because those are the ways that I don't have to pay any extra money for the book. And then also, if it was a book in the series they were reading, I was allowed to read the first book in that series. So the first video in my watch later list was Amanda June's reading wrap up, and the first book she mentioned in that video was A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Okay, so which I think was the second book in the series, and the first one is called A Court of Thorns and Roses, I think. I did not plan on reading this series because I probably won't like it, so that means I'll have to read a book I don't like, or I do like it and then that will open up a whole other world of reading, and I'm not ready for that. So yeah, I probably won't get to it, but I'll get out from the library and see how it goes. And then the last prompt we got for Tale of Two Trails was to completely randomize our TBR and pick something at random. Okay, I had to get my TBRs in. Here is all my books I have on slips of paper. I keep up with this pretty regularly, but there might be some books in here I've already read, so I'm allowing myself to not have one of those. And also, if the books are already on my TBR spin stack, I'm also gonna skip that one. But let's see what we get. There we go. Let's see. Right. The Zullen doorgaan, which is a Dutch book I have on my e-reader. I'm not sure what it's about. I think it's a non-fiction book. A kind of an essay collection about people who have gone through something difficult. The zullen doorgaan means we shall persevere or we shall continue. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure I'm gonna get to it, but if I have time, I might pick that one up. And I think that's all the books I wanted to read for May. Here are the books I have in physical copies, and like I said, I mainly wanted to read Karenina, and everything else will be a bonus. I'd love to know which of the readathon reading events you are participating in May. There's lots going on. There's also Mental Health May, there is Horror Mayhem, I think there's the Asian readathon. So yeah, May is a prime month on booktube. That is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you have a very good day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.